Most of us grow up enmeshed in a rich tapestry of community life. The colorful strands of that life began with views of our world as seen from the baby carriage, tricycle, school experiences, and later through our own explorations of community institutions and activities. What we end up with is a community life. But what about individuals with disabilities, especially those who are elderly? It is to those persons that this video is dedicated. It is hoped that the viewer will see this as a tour guide to the older adult for getting a life. Getting a life begins with finding valued roles for older adults within community settings. That is, life within the community means more than presence in a few inclusive settings. Why is a distinction made between inclusive situations and community membership? To be a member of the community means that people value you and your contribution to a particular group or activity. It means that you are not only present, but that you are also participating in something that is meaningful to you. Jenny, a community builder, explains further.
To build community, a great deal of time is spent trying to get to know the individual and listening and talking and discovering and dreaming with that person to find out their particular gifts, talents, and strengths. And this is done in a variety of community settings. Then the framework is laid for participation in as many social networks as possible, such as work, leisure, civic, community activities.
Jane, another community builder, adds,
as a community builder, my first job is to help the individual discover their interests and their talents. My job is to take them to different contexts in the community where they're going to be able to discover people that admire them, people that are interested in bringing them into their lives, where we can find a place where they can have a productive role. So having discovered the right environment for the person, and then with some luck, a role will then form and relationships will form, and we go from there. I see my role as being kind of a facilitator, or perhaps a tour guide for getting a life.
A third community builder, Barbara, sums up.
To give like a little postcard script of how community membership works is you spend a lot of time just getting to know the person and trying to find out what kind of things they like, what turns them on, what turns them off, what do they enjoy, what do they like doing, and then you try to find opportunities where they can actually take part in those things and do like everybody else.
Integration into community life is not so much a destination as it is a journey. Meet Joe, age 60, who has just begun that journey. Here he leaves the nursing home where he has resided for the last 20 years. Barb, his community builder, is introducing him to a variety of community settings as she continues to get acquainted with Joe after visiting with him a few times in his home setting. Joe has expressed an interest in big band music, and so they are listening to recordings of band performances housed in the local library. They are also using other resources found at the public library in an effort to uncover additional interests Joe may have. Meet Ernie, age 70, another 20-year resident of a nursing home who is a bit further along in his journey to community membership. Here you see Ernie at the YMCA, where he takes on a role similar to the volunteer foster grandparent role that other older adults often play. When Barb first took Ernie to the YMCA, she knew that he liked sports and that he liked children. So, in exchange for use of the gym to shoot baskets, it seemed like a natural for Ernie to help out in the day nursery where parents leave their children for an hour or two as they make use of the YMCA facilities. Ernie was shy around the children at first and stood looking at them with his hands folded across his chest. Gradually, he began to interact with the children. Now he picks them up, gets down on the floor and plays with them, and seems generally pleased that the children will run up to him and, on occasion, asks to be pulled in a wagon or indicate a desire to play ball. The director of the day nursery, Cheryl, describes the children's response.
The reaction of the children when Ernie comes into a room is just wonderful. The children come running to him and yelling, "Ernie, Ernie," and it's just a wonderful sound to hear the children calling for Ernie and getting so excited about him coming in to the room.
For his efforts as a volunteer, Ernie has Y privileges, and you see him here utilizing those privileges. Membership privileges are given to all individuals who work at or volunteer at the YMCA. They follow the same process as all other members by carrying a membership card, which they use to check in every time they use the facility. Joe and Ernie's community builder, Barbara, has worked hard to bring them into the community after their many years of life in an institutional setting. What are her hopes for the future?
The strategies I think I would use with Ernie for his continued exploration in the communities, he really, really likes kids. And I would like to see him continue in his substitute role as a grandfather at the YMCA. And I can see that role expanding to include the summer Y camp that they have. That would give Ernie an opportunity to work with more staff people and also to work with kids of different ages. And it would just expand his horizons more still where he could work with kids. It would just give him a different opportunity. It would be in the outdoors, it would be a camp situation, and he would have the opportunity to work with more people and more kids.
As Joe is still in the getting to know you stage, just where within that community he will choose to express his dreams is still uncertain. However, his interest in entertainment provides some clues.
So he seems to have an interest in audiovisual and entertainment. He was telling me they were having a show at the nursing home where he lives, and he was going to be the MC that night. And he likes to pretend that he is conducting a band when the music is playing.
In the immediate future, Joe will be given opportunities to attend local band concerts, observe at the local TV station as programs are produced, and so forth. From there, one could hope that others would step forth to make sure Joe remains exposed to these opportunities. Frank is another individual that has been assisted by a community builder to journey toward community membership. Because of his many interests, Frank has, in a way, had a jump start on the path to community. He loves going to church twice a week. He also enjoys doing grocery shopping, reading the Bible, gospel singing, and college basketball and football. However, Frank has not had frequent opportunities to explore all of his interests and to develop his talents and opportunities. So Frank's community builder has started his path to community membership by introducing Frank to community-based activities through programs for older adults at the local YMCA. Here you see Frank, at 48, participating in an over 50 program. As will be evident, this program contains a smorgasbord of activities. On this particular day, aerobic exercise and a water workout is on the menu. How is Frank doing? What are Frank's instructor and class members' reaction to Frank's presence? Here are some responses.
I like coming here. This is a lot of fun for me, doing a lot of exercise and swimming.
It's been a wonderful experience for all of us. He's a hard worker, and it's an inspiration for all of us to keep working harder because we see how hard Frank is working. He's always cheerful, which of course adds to the cheerfulness of the class, and everybody really enjoys having him here. He's part of our class.
It's made people think a little bit. You know, this is the first time we've had anyone in our class that you could see just by glancing that he is what we would call a little different. But I think that it's been good for our group.
What does the future hold for Frank? His community builder, Jane, talks about Frank's particular strengths and talents and the strategies she may use in the future.
In the future, I'm going to be encouraging him to develop the interest that he's discovered and perhaps to take a dance class or to join a musical ensemble so that he can use some of the interests and abilities that we've been able to uncover in this project. I could see Frank taking on a lot of volunteer roles in the community very effectively. I think he would work well in a social service situation where he was interacting a lot with people because he is so good with people. I think he could be a friendly visitor, for example, in a volunteer role.
What is life like for an individual who has traveled far in the journey toward membership in the community? Meet Jim, who matches that description. Jim lived at home for the first 50 years of his life and then moved to a group home. His residential provider, along with his day provider agency, offered Jim opportunities for decision-making and opportunities for both sheltered work as well as part-time supported employment. Within the supported employment setting, Jim made a number of friends who later formed a circle of support to promote independent living for him. While his circle works on his living arrangement, the Community Membership Project has supported him to build friendships within the larger community. Jim has joined a euchre group at a local recreational site. His cheerful demeanor and his charming personality made Jim a favorite member in a very short time. Several members of the euchre group talk about Jim's presence and participation in their group.
It's been fun. We like having him. And he's a very good euchre player. It's easy to play with him. Some people you can't play with very well, and he's easy to play with. And his personality you're easy to get along with, I think.
Jim has become a good friend of mine. He has intelligence and humor and what it takes to blend in here real well. We enjoy having him here.
Jim has also joined an art group. June, Jim's art instructor, talks about his delightful personality.
Having Jim in my class has been an absolute delight. He's a cheerful, cooperative, wonderful person. I mean, he has done some beautiful pieces, and it's been a lot of fun to have him in the class, I think.
Jenny, Jim's community builder, tells how she introduces and supports persons such as Jim within community settings.
Well, initially we look around and I observe to see if anyone is making contact or interactions with the person that I'm supporting, and usually there is. And so what we try and do is just build on that particular relationship. I might overhear what they're talking about and then give the person something to ask that person. Or we talk about things like, what did you do over the weekend, as good questions to ask people to get conversation started. After we've gotten to know some of the people, or after the person has gotten to know some of the people in the settings, if we know someone is having a birthday or if there's a holiday coming up, the person may buy a birthday card or a Christmas card and send them a card. On occasion, what we've also done is the participant has taken in a box of donuts or a bag of croissants to kind of break the ice and to get people talking. And that's always a really good way to generate some conversation because people sit and snack together.
As the emphasis of this video has been on valued roles that individuals, regardless of abilities, can play in the community, the question arises, how is value measured? That is, how can you indicate that an individual is making a contribution? One way, among others, is to look at the motivational effect the newcomer has on the longtime members of the existing group. Frank's instructor talks about the effect that he has had on fellow members of his exercise group.
Yes, it makes the rest of the class more motivation, gives them more motivation, gives the whole class some energy, gets them going in the morning. It really does. Frank's just an uplifter for everybody.
Jim's community builder discusses the effect that Jim has had on fellow art class members.
Well, Jim has motivated and also really stirred some curiosity with the sort of art that he is doing, because he made a mask one day and everyone came over and looked at the mask and they were very curious. And the next week one person made a mask, the following week someone else has made a mask, and they've really picked up on some of Jim's ideas.
Over and above volunteer activities and employment roles, are there other ways that Frank, Ernie, and Jim can give back to the community? That is, as they get a life, how does that life further enrich the community? No doubt there are many answers to this question. One certain effect is the enlightenment they spread about people whose gifts may not be immediately evident. Tammy, a friend of Jim's, describes that enlightenment.
I have learned a lot of different things from being a friend of Jim's. Just hearing him talk about the things that are important to him and knowing how much he wants to have the things that everyone else wants out of life. And that's something that I really had not realized until we became closer friends. And Jim has opened up a lot and talked to me about just personal things and things that have happened in his life that are really sort of unfortunate, I guess because he just didn't have the opportunities that people like you and I would have.
In addition to enlightenment, contact with persons seeking community membership can offer all of us opportunities to help community entrants realize their dreams. Tammy says it for all of us.
I've just learned that he needs and wants the things out of life that I do, and just maybe doesn't know the right channels to go through to get that. And I hope that I can help him with that.